Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We're excited for the event we've got lined up for you today. It's our second element in NetDocuments Virtual User Group of the Year, presented by myself, Jeff Alluri. I'm a Principal and Vice President of Consulting with Element Technologies. And with me today, I've got Jeff Kaplan, one of our Senior Applications Engineers at Element, Craig Sixta, who's my business partner and oversees our security and compliance for Element. And then some folks from the NetDocuments team, Kyle Kissel, he's a solutions expert, Cody MacArthur, one of the strategic account executives, Caden Smith, sales manager, as well as Ryan Tanner, an account manager from NetDocuments. So we wanted to bring together kind of a group of people that will do a really nice job for you on this webinar. I'm excited about it. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I certainly hope you do. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items. We are recording this session. We will send it to you following the presentation for your own purposes and so that you can share with others. All attendees are on mute. There will be a short Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, please chat them in. This is hopefully, we have time for the virtual user group piece. So we would like to hear from you most certainly. Any questions you have, concerns you have, any problems you might be facing, we'd love to hear what those are so that we can address those. And then if you have any unanswered questions that we may not have time for, info@netdocuments.com, please use that email and go ahead and send those in and we will answer each and every one of those. With that, I am going to turn it over to Caden and Cody to kick us off.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Jeff. To get started here, we are going to do a poll. So everybody get ready. You'll be able to answer the questions sort of as we go here. So first, question number one, we want to know who you are. Tell us, are you a current NetDocuments user? Are you looking for a document management system, but you don't have one right now? Or do you maybe have a document management system right now, but you're looking for something a little bit better? So I'll give you a second to answer, and then we'll see what we've got. Apparently it says organizers and panelists can't vote, even though I really wanted to. All right, looks like 97% of you are current NetDocuments users, which is what we were expecting and hoping for, with this user group, and we're excited to show you what we have in store for you. So now, next question. Tell us what brought you here. Of the 3% who don't have one, are you perhaps looking for a DMS? Do you use NetDocuments? You want to know what's new? Maybe email management hasn't been the best for you. You're looking for something, to make working in a team a little bit better. So answer this one. All right, looks like a lot of you are hoping to see what's new, and luckily that's exactly what we've got on tap for you. So we'll talk about what's new. We're also going to spend a good amount of time looking at email management and other teamwork solution tools today too, which are included in what's new, so that's perfect. And then I think this last question here, tell us a little bit about what isn't going super well. Maybe the document side of things, the email side of things, you're looking to be a little bit more efficient. Case filing, what is something that you're hoping to make better for your organization? Okay, looks like a lot of people are really interested in increasing efficiency, which is something that I think, especially in these times with COVID-19 and working from home, how can we all be a little bit more efficient, work a little bit better? So hopefully we can show you a few tools that are available for you to be able to do that today. So jumping right into it, one of the things we love to do in these user groups is talk a little bit about what's new. And over the last a little while, NetDocuments, a lot of things have really changed for us here, and they're all really fantastic for you. You might remember, if you've been a NetDocuments customer for a long time, for a really long time, there was NetDocuments and just NetDocuments. And occasionally there would be, enhancements or little things added to NetDocuments, but it was basically just, document management and some basic email management. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that, we decided that it would make sense to begin adding things to the NetDocuments platform. We started with, you probably remember, you might have end email, there's OCR, but we started adding all sorts of tools to the NetDocuments platform like ND Thread, Collab Spaces, Set Builder, among others. Recently, we have, decided that we're going to be pretty committed to continuing to add and build on the platform that is NetDocuments, but instead of having, thousands of individual products, we have grouped them together into what we are calling our NetDocuments solutions. So our solutions include Organize, Learn, Deliver, Plan, and Protect. Each of them contain products currently that fit their title, and they will continue to have products added to those solutions as time goes by. So if you have Organize or you have Protect, etc., and we add a new enhancement or we add a new tool, you inherit those things by having that solution as a part of your system. So first things first, Cody and I are going to talk a little bit about one of the solutions here, which is Organize. Organize is sort of the base of NetDocuments. Organize is something that includes document management, end email, our advanced email management tool, our OCR tool, and our Power Automate tool, which is brand new, and Cody's going to show us here. First thing I would say, if you don't currently have Organize, if you maybe don't have end email yet, you don't have OCR yet, get a hold of your account manager, whether that's Ryan or someone on his team, as soon as possible. This is what I would consider sort of the base of NetDocuments now. And the efficiency that is added in just being at least to organize from our sort of basic just DMS is huge. In fact, a couple things that help support that. With end email specifically, the filing of emails into NetDocuments is critically important, especially if you're a law firm, but for any organization really. Having those conversations somewhere where you can go and see all the documents, all of the emails, everything in a matter-centric location is so important. But the process of filing emails is something that is a little cumbersome. Then email, those that use it, how easy it is. And email filing in NetDocuments has grown by 73% in the last 6 months. We're capturing more of those. We're meeting you, where you like to work, making life as easy as possible for you. In addition to that, I believe we've OCR'd 35 million documents in the last, or just this year alone, making your searches more powerful, finding keywords in the middle of a huge document so that you don't spend time sifting through things. So if you're not on Organize, let's get you to Organize. And to look at a few things that are new about our Organize package, I'm going to turn the time over to Cody.
Awesome. Thank you, Caden. So I'm going to dive into a quick example here of using Microsoft Power Automate, which is a new addition to the Organize bundle. Those of you guys with a photographic memory, COVID's been good to me. I've grown a handful of inches here in my hair from that previous picture. I know we all are trying to adapt in certain ways, but let's dive into what's new here with NetDocuments with the Organize bundle and talk about Power Automate. If you're not familiar with Power Automate, it is basically Microsoft's has a store or a Power Automate store where there's over 900 apps that are available, and you can see ways to connect all those apps with either low code or really no code type of build out. If you're familiar with something like SurveyMonkey, this is a great example to show you that. And I've actually stored this on my legal documents cabinet homepage. Little teaser, if you're not familiar with this, you might see that in our tips and tricks later on. But we've got a form here for a new matter intake. So this was just built out. Our friend here, Kyle Kissel, that was introduced earlier, built this form. Took him a handful of minutes where I can actually type in, a client number, a matter, or a client name. We'll call this Mac or Acme Incorporation, and we'll do a matter number for Johnson or Acme versus Johnson. Now, what this is doing is able to actually, when I hit submit here, it's actually going to do a couple of things. It takes our APIs and submits that information into the lookup table of NetDocuments. It then also creates a workspace. And then we've gone through and actually made a template for litigation that will automatically build out the workspace filters and the folders that you'd expect to see on that page. So this is a very basic example of like a relatively no code example. If you guys have ND-Link, this might automatically happen in the background, but if you don't, this is a great example and a great thing to take over. And there's a lot of advanced coding that you could do with these to automate a lot of your processes. Think about approval routings, or think about ways you can get client information from a client without having to, have them fill out a Word document. All of that can be pushed in with NetDocuments APIs to create documents or create workspaces or execute a number of items. So I'm going to go ahead and even take a look at that. It only took a few minutes to pull up this Acme versus Johnson client that I just created, or this matter. And here's the workspace for that. The filters are there, the folders are there, and something I kind of put in here on purpose to show you as well as an addition called folder packs. These typically are collapsed, but when I expand them, these were automatically created subfolders within my top level folders on a workspace. Historically, a workspace template could only have top level folders. Now you're able to embed subfolders and subfolders and really create a tree that works for that particular practice group. So this is actually available, I believe today is when we launch that live for our customers, to where you can set this up in your workspace templates to have embedded folders. Something that Kyle did one step further than just creating a workspace here is he actually also created a collaboration space, and then even input a form for that collaboration space for maybe my client to fill out. So all of those things just happen in a matter of a minute or so, but now it's something that you can do with a single click after filling out a form, and it does all of that for you. So a great way to automate things. We talked about efficiency earlier. Talk about that's a perfect example of being more efficient. Instead of having to have 3 or 4 steps and having an administrator do this or that, you can set those types of automations up. Now, you might also have seen that we've launched a new viewer. I'm going to show you a quick little example here. I'm not going to take too much from plan, but now we have avatars for who has access to these documents, very easy to view. A little more powerful than that, if I grab, sorry, I got to show my other screen here. If I grab a document from maybe that I just want to preview or see the document, I can view that in a full view browser, which actually is a lot more encompassing than it has been in the past. This powerful viewer now has search functionality built into it. So if I wanted to take a look at a particular section without having to go back to a NetDocument search, you can search within your viewer. It even has your bookmarks all laid out on the left here. So this previewer really helps that efficiency. And we'll see a little bit more about what that previewer can do when we get into our plan solution. So to look at one other piece that we've enhanced, I'm going to toggle out to ND Office and just look at Microsoft Word and how we've embedded another 2 features. I think it just shows really well here. I'm going to grab this discrete retainer from my Office activity pane. This right-click menu, if you're not familiar with it, has some great ways to modify access. I did this on the presentation we're working on right now. But if I go to work on this document and I want to save as a new version, a lot of our clients didn't like, going 5, 10, 15 versions and sending it back to a client with version 15 on it. So now on your Save As dialog, you can actually subversion documents. And of course, when I hit Save As, it recognizes this already exists. I can now call it subversion 1.1. I could say, Cody added some changes is the version name, and I could add some description in there if I wanted to as well. But now you've got the 1.1 in the header of the document, 1.1 in the footer or in the bottom of the text if you wanted it there, or it can be entirely hidden. But the idea is that subversioning really helps you kind of clean things up and look a lot more professional to those clients. Now, the last thing I'll show on Office that is absolutely unique to NetDocuments, and you can do this, of course, in the web, but it looks really well in the browser. I'm going to save this as a new document. And when I go to profile this document to a particular client, to a matter, to a practice area, you'll see that this isn't a huge change from profiling a document, but what we have now is once I've classified a document type, like for example, purchase order in this particular example, I'm done filling out the information for this document. I could hit save and be done. But if I were to file it to something like agreement, you'll notice a couple other fields pop up in here, start date and end date. very powerful. This is called dynamic profile attributes, in the sense that you can have some fields dependent on other fields. The old way of doing this was having to have 10, 15 fields with half of them being optional. Now we're able to hide those unless it's relevant to that particular document type. So there's a little bit of dependency there. There's a little bit of change that's involved there, and it really helps streamline those processes and make relevant information available to you for searching and for reference later on. So there's some quick little examples of what we've done on the organized bundle. I think it's good to just remember that NetDocuments is going to continually innovate and continually enhance the organized bundle or the organized solution, and you don't have to pay for those kind of extra things that I just showed you. We've got Power Automate, OCR, and NDMail. We're going to hand back to Caden to start presenting on some of those changes that we've had and some enhancements we've made there.
Awesome, thank you. Let me see what screen. I can't tell what screen is being showed here.
We're looking at Outlook.
Perfect, okay, that's what I wanted you to see. Fantastic, thanks Cody. Moving along and talking a little bit more about Organize, the other really important part of Organize besides, the document management, ND Office stuff that Cody saw was, of course, ND Mail. For some of you, that use ND Mail, you may have noticed that actually over the last year, ND Mail has increased in speed by 2 times. So it is 2 times faster than it was a year ago. Predictions are 15% more accurate. And I mentioned earlier that our filing has grown by 73% in just the last 6 months. So for those of you who don't have ND Mail, you may be used to kind of manually filing your emails in NetDocuments. What ND Mail allows you to do, you'll notice whenever I am on an email, I'll just jump off and select an email here. Up in this top right corner, you'll notice it is generating predictions. The system is literally reading your email, analyzing who sent it to you, who's copied on it, any attachments that you have, and it's predicting which matter this email most likely belongs to. So you'll see I have kind of these cell phone signal strength looking bars here telling me how confident the system is that it might belong in one of these different matters. So assuming it does belong to this matter here on top, I just simply click the box and you can decide whether you want it to automatically file this email with 1 click as soon as I move away and click and do something else, or you can have it set to actually have to click the file button there. This has been around for a couple of years now. It's constantly getting smarter, it's getting better. It learns the way that your firm works, which is so important. But beyond the 1-click prediction filing here, we realized that there were so many firms who had a lot of users who maybe before a document management system were used to saving things in their own individual Outlook folders. Which is really good for their own personal convenience, right? Not so good if the rest of the firm needs to know what's going on. You kind of have to pop in and ask them what's happening. So we've given you the ability to, when creating a regular old Outlook folder, we'll ask you, would you like to map this folder? You can map this folder to a specific location in NetDocuments. So anytime you drag and drop an email into one of those Outlook folders, it will automatically save a copy here in your Outlook folder for your convenience. It'll also put a copy into NetDocuments, so you don't change the way that you're working, which is sort of the key to increasing that efficiency. Don't change a lot about what you do, but start to use the power of the document management system. Beyond that, you might know we have these little blue check marks here. They're called global filing indicators. They show up on the email as soon as one person from within your firm has filed the email. So you may come here like I have 200 messages. This one's already been filed. I know I don't even have to worry about it. It's already been done. And of course, I can access with ND Mail all of my documents right from within Outlook. If I select any location down in this little navigation tree here, you'll notice the middle portion of my screen actually becomes NetDocuments. I can jump to any one of my matters. I can see any one of my documents. I can do searching here, version control here. I can select documents and preview them here in Outlook as well. And essentially everything I could do from within the NetDocuments web interface, I can do right here in Outlook. I've got my documents here. Of course, I have my emails here. If you love to be in Outlook all day, you can. You never have to leave. So those were sort of the, the end email tools that you've always had. Now we've added a couple of things, and we continue to add a couple of things that might make you a little bit excited. First thing that we noticed was based on the different users within a firm, people would file things to different locations depending on who they were. And in an effort to make those locations that you most often file to really easy to access all the time, we give you now the ability to pin certain filing locations to the top of your list here in end email. So every time you come into your email, your top 3 or 4 saving locations are all right here, and you can use that to one-click file to those certain places. So that's something that was recently added. Another thing that we are that was maybe, I don't know if it's from the last time we talked, it may have already been there, but it's important to mention. We also give you the ability to have conversational filing. So you file the first email, you can then decide that any replies back and forth moving forward should be automatically filed. You don't even have to, I know it's really hard for us to click one button here to file an email, but we've made it even easier than that. You do it one time, and then all replies are also filed to that location too. Another thing that we are currently working on and would be on our roadmap moving forward that's related to end email is the ability to have what is called attach matching. That means that if you are working on an email or a document, you're sending it back and forth to somebody, and you receive that document back and it's had some changes made to it perhaps, the system will recognize that that is a document that's already in the system, and you can automatically save it in as a new version to that same document in NetDocuments without having to kind of do it manually. So that's a little bit about end email. If you don't have end email, get end email because it's one of our most powerful tools, one of our most popular tools. Our customers absolutely love it. From here, I'm going to jump over and we're going to look at a couple of other things as it relates to Organize. Especially with COVID-19, working from home, being away from the office, the use of mobile applications and the use of just working on mobile devices has increased probably across the world. NetDocuments has always been a leader in giving you the ability to work from your mobile devices. And today I wanted to show you a couple things that you may not have known about as it relates to working on mobile. If you use the Outlook app on your mobile device, whether that's your phone or your iPad or Android devices, iOS devices, you'll notice, I can speak for myself. I am probably more often than looking at emails on my actual computer, I'm doing it from my phone or from a mobile device. End email is now directly within your Outlook app. So I select an email here. I've got this email. I click these 3 dots right here. End email is an option for saving. It generates my predictions just like it would on your desktop version of Outlook. I simply select the location that it needs to go to. I hit file, and that email is automatically filed to the correct location in NetDocuments. So I might be, out at lunch. I might be, laying in bed. We won't tell on you if you are, and I can easily file emails right from my mobile device here. So I've just now, filed that email directly to NetDocuments. Another thing that I would mention quickly, if you don't use the NetDocuments app, you really should. From the NetDocuments app, I can very easily navigate to all of the different, cabinets, my homepage, all my recent documents. I can even run full searches just like you would from the web. So I'm going to search for agreement here. I've got a list of all my documents that contain the phrase agreement. It still utilizes the OCR technology that comes with Organize. So you'll see I even have PDFs here that have found agreement within the document itself. And then because this is so integrated and because NetDocuments is a certified storage provider for Microsoft, right from my NetDocuments mobile app, I can go ahead, hit this edit button, and use Microsoft Word to edit this document. So I'm going to go ahead and perhaps just change the color here to blue, and just like that, I've edited this document. I'm going to go ahead and save it and close out, and just like that, my document is now updated in NetDocuments, and those members of my team can also see those changes. And I've done it all right from my iPad really easily. So those are the things that Cody and I have prepared to show you guys today about Organize. If you have other questions, shoot them into the chat and we'll talk about them during the Q&A session. From here, I'm going to kick it over to Kyle and Ryan. They're going to talk to us a little bit about our plan solution and some really cool new things that have come out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caden. I am really excited to showcase Plan and Deliver. My name is Kyle Kissel. I'm a solutions expert, and joining me is Ryan Tanner, our account manager that helps a lot of firms choose Plan and Deliver. So as we're moving into this, I do want to focus on kind of what are Plan and Deliver, because as Caden and Cody mentioned, NetDocuments was just a document management system. Right now, we have kind of gone the way of becoming a full content management system, and we talked about the coin and our solution. So Plan is designed to bring teams together, enabling you to work on one version of a file, focusing on easy to use tools that help you coordinate teams, tasks, and provide real-time team communication. Now, whether you're using Microsoft Teams, like most of the world has picked up during COVID, or ND Thread, you'll be able to stay in touch. We also have a task management tool and the ability to engage in smart view. So you're not having to pull documents into a third-party tool or send them via email to have a conversation. And we're going to cover that today. Briefly, here is a preview of Margin Notes, which comes with our Smart Viewer. It enables you to seamlessly communicate and collaborate within the context of a document. Coming with the Smart View technology, we will be introducing Findings, and Findings is incredibly powerful. Findings enables you to extract content and find information on a document by document basis. So you'll be able to do a search for information you didn't know was in that document. We're going to leverage the Organize solution, right? And our OCR tool, we use artificial intelligence, and you can see here we have selected, hey, there's NetDocuments and Kinder Company that occur. We've selected two entities, and there are 12 occurrences of those names in a related section of the document. And then in a limited release to limited customers is our task management tool. So that is coming with the Plan solution as well. And then once you plan that work, how do you get that in the hands of the parties that need it, right? So Deliver helps you easily organize, package, and share content with clients, customers, outside counsel, or other third parties using our built-in extranet and document bundling solutions. So we'll cover today Collab Spaces and Set Builder as well. And Collab Spaces, again, is that seamless extranet. It's a secure way to share with contacts outside of your organization or outside of your business unit. Provides a seamless way to deliver or collaborate on content. And Set Builder is one of my favorite tools that NetDocuments has. Very flexible, enables you to group and organize content, and then have a professional deliverable. So let's jump into how my day is going typically right before the lunch hour. Now, I've got this document that I'm working on. And as Cody mentioned, Smart Viewer comes with some great enhancements to the Organize solution. And those enhancements are increased visibility to the URL. You can copy this and you can share this file right from here. You can easily identify access to this document, and you have a better preview of your profile details, including all of your document versions. The improved Smart Viewer, which Cody showed you, has the ability to preview files. You can search within content. If I was performing a search using the NetDocuments search bar, those search results actually permeate inside of the Smart View window. And as Cody showed, you can actually expand this into a full view. Now, what comes with the Plan solution is Margin Notes, and that is this ability to have a conversation on top of the document. Now, I want to set your mind at ease. This is not like adding comments inside of Word. There is no risk of this information being accidentally delivered to an outside party. We're not adding metadata or any information to the file itself. And I can see color coding of the comments that are made. So as I click here, Brian has asked Ryan to send this document, finalize it, execute it, and get it back to us. And Ryan's responded and said, hey, you know what? I'll get this back. We've thanked him. We can see that we have asked Caden, do we want to reuse section 5 for Ironside? And I've jumped in and said, hey, you know what, we'll take care of this. So you can have a conversation. This is really great for if you're doing document review, right? If you have multiple parties that need to have a conversation on document, but you don't want to go through the process of adding information to the file itself, and you don't want to go through that check in and check out process, which can be, reducing, help reduce or cause reductions in efficiency. So being able to have these conversations in the web without having to check the document in or out in real time really empowers users to collaborate on content more effectively, more efficiently, and get things out the door as quickly as possible. So that is one of my favorite components of the plan solution, is this Smart View technology, where you can have a conversation inside of the preview window. Now, let's jump into, right, we've sent that file off, Ryan's getting it executed, but let's go to the workspace and let's talk about Set Builder, right? We've talked about the plan solution. You know and love ND Thread. We can send messages back and forth in it. The Smart View technology comes with this, and it brings that same ND Thread style communication into your NetDocuments previewer. And hey, guess what? We just got that countersigned agreement back. So we're putting this together inside of our binder. So let's jump into Set Builder, right? And the plan and deliver solutions work together harmoniously so that we can deliver content and plan content simultaneously. And you know what? We did get that countersigned agreement. Now, Set Builder enables us to work together seamlessly, and we can put together content, whether it's, and maybe we come back here and show you some of the options, right? Because it's not just for corporate teams, right? We can put together closing binders, real estate packets. Ryan, what are some other thoughts that you've got from and feedback ways your customers are using this?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Anecdotally, I think it's kind of important to know a little bit of the genesis of where Set Builder comes from, why we have it. Just a quick backstory on Set Builder for those of you who don't know. This was actually a technology that was developed initially by one of our customers, actually. Law firm up in Chicago, Chapman and Cutler. They actually put together this technology and we acquired it. Now, Chapman and Cutler is it's a law firm that deals heavily in closing transactions. So they were constantly putting together closing binders. And Kyle, I think when we first started showing Set Builder to our customers, we obviously went after a lot of our customers who are heavy into, closing transactions and putting together closing binders. But as we have shown this to other customers, I think we have come across quite a few use cases. I'm of the opinion now that I think even our customers who are heavy into litigation, who are putting together all these trial binders, trial notebooks, what have you, I think they might even appreciate Set Builder more than those who are dealing with closing binders and closing transactions. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but aren't you using Set Builder internally? I mean, you're constantly sending out training materials to us, to the sales team. I think you're putting them all together in Set Builder, right?
That is a great plug, and that's absolutely right. It is very flexible. You can see here, we've got some closings. We've got a trial binder in here. I do use this to deliver training material, and actually our HR team, when they put together our benefits package, I don't know if you caught that, Ryan, it had been assembled inside of Set Builder. So as our plan year ended and we had to renew our benefits, all of that had been compiled into Set Builder. So let's jump in and take a look at this merger, right? We've got that email that you had sent with that signed executed copy. And hey, here is my copy. Let's begin editing this document. Before we jump into this, I want to talk about Set Builder. Now, you can have the ability to add headers. And Ryan, as you think about the old school physical closing binder, right? You've got a tab, and that physical tab nests everything. A header is the same way, right? So we can group all of our client files right here, and we've added a header, and everything underneath that header is going to be added. And right here, we see that there is a placeholder. And this placeholder is a document that doesn't exist yet, right? We're waiting on a client signature. It needs to go through the approval process before it can become part of our binder. We need to extract that information for discovery. It's simple. Add a placeholder. It's in bold and bracketed so that you know that document doesn't exist yet. And then we have the ability to add documents from multiple sources. The first source obviously is NetDocuments. But as you saw that message that I just got, not everything comes in NetDocuments. My client just sent me something on a flash drive, and we got that executed countersigned agreement back as a PDF. So I've got this email from Ryan. Here is this countersigned PDF. I'm going to take this right here and drag and drop this document into the set, right? It is very simple. It is very powerful, and it enables me to add content seamlessly. It's not just from email. I can actually even bring in that entire flash drive right from here. And as I drag and release this, we're going to respect the folder structure that is brought in. So you can see we've brought in a folder, a subfolder, and all of that information right from here. So these lines are populating blue, and I'm adding those documents from that external flash drive that was provided to me, not only into the set, but also into the NetDocuments workspace as well. So it's seamless. It's very easy to get content in here. Now, as flexible as this is, right, different users are going to need different numbering and nomenclature, right? So our litigators probably going to call things a little bit differently than people that are putting together our family law or estate plannings or corporate closings. So you can customize your nomenclature and numbering right from here, tailor your binders to meet your needs. And it is simple. You can add text beforehand. And you know what? Maybe we don't want to refer to this as an exhibit. And Ryan, regulatory preferences say that we actually have to have a lowercase a and a dash. And this numbering should also be continuous throughout our binder. So as I click save in here, we're going to notice that we're going to update my binder. No longer says exhibit A, B, C, right? It's just A, B, C, and that is continuous. And the goal here, Ryan, is to avoid reinventing the wheel. We make it very easy to add content, to group this set together, but you've done this before, right? It's called transactional work for a reason. You have your gold standard trial binder. You know what your path to success looks like. You shouldn't have to start from scratch. And part of the improved efficiencies that come with Set Builder is the ability to clone your binder. So I can take this skeletal framework and I can replicate it within my NetDocuments workspace, or I can clone it to a new NetDocuments workspace, enabling me to populate that information with relevant client data for that specific workspace. Now, as I move through this, it is important to note that all of this is happening right inside of NetDocuments. Right, so as we're adding documents, they're being added to NetDocuments. As we're bringing files in, they're being added to NetDocuments. This means that it's not just your job to do this, right? And it's no longer the burden of creating this binder is not on a single party. And I can come in here and take a look and see who has done what. We can track the progress of this binder so that it's easy to see and make sure that the team is working on things together and you're avoiding that Herculean effort to get this product out the door.
And Kyle, I think that's one of the big things that I've heard from a lot of my customers that like Set Builder is, I'll talk to people of, how did you do it before Set Builder? And they would, tell me they'd stay late at work, maybe top off a few Red Bulls, and they realized that they were going to be there for 4 or 5 hours putting this thing together. And that's
ordering
what they love
takeout.
Yep. They love the Set Builder approach where they can kind of piecemeal it over time, maybe take a few minutes, just drag and drop a document in there, and then what's taking them, previously hours to do is now being done in 15, 20 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a huge time saver. And let's show you, now that we've put this together, right, we've reordered. I think it's important, right, we can customize our ordering and we can indent to illustrate correlation. And when we're done, let's go ahead and put this together. Now, different parties have different requirements on how their binders are delivered. So we can deliver this as a single hyperlinked PDF, or we can stitch this together as a zip file. As you mentioned, litigators use this a lot. And so we have added, based on customer feedback, the ability to add Bates numbering, right? So as you're looking and producing discovery using this or a large volume of documents, you can add your own custom Bates numbering. We've also added standard pagination, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is an option. We're going to give you the ability to name this binder, and you know what, maybe we want to change this name. Do we want to generate an index page, yes or no? Right, and you can do this right from here. Simply clicking generate is going to stitch all of this information together in one single deliverable, right? And that product now is able to be sent securely using NetDocuments because all of these files exist in NetDocuments. Everything that you need exists in NetDocuments, and that means that delivering this product is seamless as well. And you can deliver this product directly from NetDocuments. And as we open this up, our binder has been generated, and I have opened up into my new tab. We can leverage all the secure NetDocuments delivery channels, such as delivering a secured link, and we can even share this externally into a collab space. So right-clicking enables me to add this into my Macmillan collab space, and we're done. right? That has now been added into the collab space, and we're going to take me into this collab space. So I have now just generated my binder, right? Organized and grouped my content. I've stitched it together, and I have delivered this into my Element user group client portal. Now, before we jump in and talk about collab spaces, let's go ahead and talk about this binder that I put together, Ryan. Now, it's very professional. I had a custom cover page. As we scroll down, we can see an index page. And this new and improved index page within Set Builder, you can see my pagination permeates into this index page. This index page is also linked. So if I were to, say, take a look at our bill of sale on page 370, well, we're right there. I can take a look at our Q4 2011 statement. We're right there. And the numbering that we have decided on, whether Bates numbering or standard pagination, permeates throughout this binder as well. So we've got our linking components that you're used to in Set Builder inside of the bookmark section, but we've also linked inside of this index page, adding additional power. Right now, these links, as I'm using the term link, it is contained within this PDF, meaning that as you deliver this to a non-NetDocuments user on a secured link, the links inside of the PDF will work for them. If you take this on your iPad and don't have access to the internet in court, but it's on your iPad, the links will still work as well. Right, so it's a very professional, very quick to compile, and you get work product out of the door that is just, astounding. And that brings us to collab spaces. And Ryan, I know you have a lot of folks that have adopted collab spaces for an extranet. What are some of the kind of key use cases that you see in using collaboration spaces in NetDocuments?
Yeah, I really just think it's a much more efficient way. I mean, we have a lot of customers on the call today. They're used to share spaces, which, I think we all understand that share spaces is an outdated technology, and there was hiccups along the way. Couldn't have a lot of people in there, couldn't share a lot of documents. Once you kind of went over a certain threshold, it started getting a little buggy. So those have basically been taken away, and I think that's been the biggest benefit to customers is kind of, it's an extranet without the nets. There's no limit on how many people you can bring in. There's no limit on how many documents you can be sharing, and it just kind of opens the firm's ability to collaborate up a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, Ryan, it is very easy to control who has access here, right?
Absolutely.
So I can click on the name. We can control which external parties or internal parties can access this. And like you mentioned, you can have an unlimited number of users or documents inside of this portal. You can see the full history. If you need to verify that painful opposing counsel actually viewed that document, you can come in here and prove that. And then if you're waiting on signed copies of documents to be brought in, you want client records to be notified, you can follow this portal so that you get notified when content is updated or added. As we mentioned, you can brand this right with your logo or with your client's logo to give them an excellent client experience. And what they see inside of this collab space is cool. I'm an internal user. This is the same experience that my external user has too, with two exceptions. They don't have access to our cases or matters, so they're not going to see matters, nor will they see GoToMatter. But if they need to, they have the ability to add content right into this portal, right? So they can upload it from their iPad, iPhone, Android device, desktop, laptop, MacBook, etc. They can link to web pages that may be relevant, and they can even pull content in directly from their scanner, right? So it's a very powerful tool, and it allows you to deliver content, and you can restrict that access so that outside party can just view those documents, or you can give them the ability to add content, or you can give them the ability to collaborate on content with you. My favorite part about this is these files are still inside of my Macmillan Toys workspace, right? So there's not a second place. As you saw, I was a simple right click, add to my collab space, and we're brought here. So adding files into this collaboration portal is easy, it's governable, and all of the industry leading security of NetDocuments has been brought together inside of this portal. So that is just a quick walkthrough of what you can expect from plan and deliver. And with that, I'm going to turn the time over. And Craig, you are on mute.
I am never the guy that fails with the unmute, so I'm going to hear about that one, I'm sure. Anyway, this is Craig with Element Technologies. I am the VP of Security and Compliance, and What I want to talk about briefly today is cybersecurity, where it stands and what we're seeing with the advent of COVID and this dispersion of employees and staff into work from home environments. At Element, when we got the stay-at-home order in Minnesota, it took place, I believe, early March. We worked with thousands of employees to move them to their houses. Some companies were very well prepared. They had NetDocuments, they had multi-factor authentication, they may have had VDI. They were well prepared to move their employees anywhere. Some others were woefully unprepared, and security really took a backseat to functionality, which unfortunately it had to. Businesses had to stay up and running, and it was very challenging. So what I want to do is, now that we've been in this for a while, I want to talk about where we're at in cybersecurity, and hopefully for some of you, give you a sense of perspective of where you need to be. For others, you're going to feel better about where you're at. So with that being said, here, I'm going to talk about how we need a change of perspective. So with cybercrime, especially now with people working at home, we need to recognize that cybercrime is extremely low risk. It's not like other crimes out there, frankly. If I were to go to Cody with his nice, beautiful new long hair and say, hey, dude, let's grab some stocking caps and let's rob a bank, Cody's probably going to say no, and he's going to say no for a couple reasons. He's going to say no because morally that's wrong. We don't rob banks. He may say no because he doesn't need the money. He may say no for the reason a lot of people really fall on, and that's because we're going to get caught. And so because of that, people don't do things like that. We live in this first world mentality. But if I were to go to Cody and say, Cody, I've got a great email phishing scheme, I know it works, and I've worked with another hacker. We made $1 million in a week, and I have followed hackers that made $1 million in a week on a scam, and there's no chance of getting caught. Cody may say yes. Hopefully he wouldn't, but there's a chance. Now, I mentioned how cybercrime is highly profitable. The reason for that is the advent of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. It was about 10 years ago that came onto the scene. Prior to that, cybercrime was really limited to corporate espionage, stealing information and selling it, but more often just destroying networks or proving that you could get on them. And now it's become big business. The cybercrime tools are readily available. I'm actually going to demonstrate a live hack here in just a couple minutes with tools that any of you could download right off the internet perfectly legally today. And if you didn't know how to use them, you could go on YouTube and watch videos and get up to speed pretty quickly. The next thing, and this is really true, especially for law firms, is that people and organizations are overly generous with their information online and on social media. So what happens as an attorney, as a law firm, you have to brag about how great your attorneys are, how great your staff is, the cases, the civics works they've done, the community work. A bad actor can take that and turn it against the firm. They can exploit weaknesses in attorneys. They can hone in on certain areas that they know that they're focused on and make it seem very compelling. Next, we need to stop shaming victims of cybercrime. We do need to remember crime is still a crime. Once again, we'll pick on Cody. If Cody gets back from a baseball game the next day, walks into NetDocs and says, yeah, I was mugged on my way back to the car. Nobody's going to shame him and say, I can't believe you parked in that spot, Cody, you deserve that. But with cybercrime, we do that, and especially people in the IT community do that. We see the commercials in the movies where somebody clicks on something, they're hiding in shame in their cubicle. The problem is when victims expect to be shamed, they don't say anything. And with the cases that I've worked, I can tell you, if we know about a wire fraud the minute it happens or within 24 hours of it happening, we may be able to get the money back. If we know about a ransomware attack, when somebody clicks on the malicious link on Friday night and goes, something seems wrong, we may be able to stop that before hundreds of servers are infected by Monday morning. So time is really of the essence. So with that, I'm going to talk about how passwords are the weakest link in the chain, and I'm going to give us a live demo here. And so, can you, for those of you on the call, can you see the terminal session, just to confirm?
Yes, we can.
Excellent, thank you. Otherwise, this demo is not very interesting if it's just me typing and you're hearing clicking noises. Okay, there we go. So what I have is I have a live virtual machine out in actually Microsoft Azure that we have our security tools on. This is freely available on the internet to buy these tools. But the one I'm going to demonstrate is called the Social Engineering Toolkit. And so social engineering is the idea of manipulating people into giving up information. So we'll get that loaded up. There it is. And this has hundreds of different attacks that we can do. I'm going to demonstrate one that we see pretty often. So I'm going to do a social engineering attack. I'm going to attack a website. And then I'm going to do what's called credential harvesting. This is where we fake a website in order to trick somebody into giving up their username and password. Finally, I'm going to do what's called a site cloner. So I'm not a web developer. I can't make websites on my own. But with this tool, all I need to do is put in a website of a website I know. We're going to pick on Twitter because they've had a number of issues lately. And I'm going to hit enter on this. Now, I'm picking on Twitter. This works with any website on the internet that requires a username and password. This could be Office 365. This could be NetDocs or iManage or any of your DMS systems out there. This is not a flaw in their security. It's the nature of the internet, is that we ask for usernames and passwords. Now, as an attacker, now that I've got this going, there's something I have to do, and that's I've got to trick somebody into going to my new website. So what I do is I create an email like this, and I love this email because everybody likes Ryan Reynolds. So this comes from somebody that you actually know. Check out this tweet by Ryan Reynolds. Love this guy. Normal end users, what is the first thing we always tell them? Make sure the URL is legit. So they go and they go, yep, this was really forwarded from Twitter. Yep, this looks fine. Okay. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to see what this is all about. Now this pops up. Now, this is important to mention at this point. I did not build this website. In the time you saw me start the hack, it cloned it in the background. For the eagle eye out there, you'll notice this is twitter-secure.com. It's not really Twitter, but can we expect end users to catch this each and every time? So what happens is, put in my username. I put in my really good password here. And as an end user, I log in. And what happened? I went to Twitter. Okay, I move on with my day. That wasn't that interesting, was it? Now look at this. In the background, my tool has just captured the username and the password of the user logging into this. Now, as I said, I could try to manipulate and get people to give up their NetDocuments passwords, their bank account passwords, that sort of thing. But it's easier to go after Netflix or Twitter or something like that because people tend not to pay attention, but they tend to use the same passwords for everything. So now that I have this information for a user, I can go and start attacking their site. And I'll say the last summer I worked on a case, cost the company about $5 million in lost revenue because a user had the same PayPal password as they did for their corporate network password, and it was found in exactly this way. So while I have this here, I want to talk about one solution we can do to fix that, and then I'll talk about a couple other steps. And I think this is pretty important and pretty neat. Whenever you start talking about improving security, especially with a law firm, you get pushback from attorneys. And so I'm at NetDocuments right now, and I want to show you our secure solution at Element, how we log in securely. And let me know, pay attention, this is going to go pretty quick, but do you think your attorneys would be okay with this? They go to NetDocs, we're in the US, we're going to click on US, okay? That was it, I'm in. And you may be asking, well, where's the username, where's the password? We worked with a company called WatchGuard to use their AuthPoint solution, which is a multi-factor authentication solution. I've got it on my phone here. And what happens is the first thing every morning, I log into any of a dozen different sites that we have protected by AuthPoint. And now that it's protected on there, when I go to any of the other sites, they already know that I have been authenticated, my phone has been verified, and I can go in with a single click. No more usernames and passwords, basically for the rest of the day. And this really does work flawlessly. And the amazing part about it is the threat is limited to people that have the phone and have Face ID. In order to break this, you would actually need to have my physical phone and scan my face in order to get in first thing in the morning. So we've eliminated the Russian hackers, the Nigerian hackers, any bad actor that's trying to break into NetDocs at Element, because they would actually need this phone and there's no authentication. So keep that in mind as you consider solutions. Let me get back to my presentation here, go from the current slide, and talk about a couple other things that we can do here. So I just show you what multi-factor authentication can do. It's a combination of something you know, something you are, or something you have. In this case for Element, the thing we have is our phones. And when we have our phone and we securely log in, it takes care of most, if not all, of our authentications for the entire day. It's an absolute godsend when you're working with end users. The next thing is if you do have multi-factor authentication enabled, you can disable your password expiration policy. And the reason for this is when we require users to change their passwords every 60 days, every 90 days, that sort of thing, we start seeing patterns. Summer 17 becomes winter 17, becomes spring 18. If we get an old password, we can guess what the new one is. With multi-factor authentication, even if a password is compromised, the system isn't compromised, and the security standards out there nowadays dictate to get rid of the password expiration policy. In addition, once we don't have a password expiration policy, we can start requiring unique complex passwords. Right now, if you were to go to your firm and say, we're going to require 12-character passwords for everything, you would probably have a revolt. But if you said, we're going to require 12-character passwords, we're going to teach you how to create those, and that same 12-character password you have is going to work until you want to change it, there's much less of an issue. The next thing you see there is storing your password securely. We have to get away from the Post-it notes and the password.xls file that's sitting on networks, because those are too easily found. Finding a solution, LastPass, Dashlane, there's a number of them out there. Really do focus on a good one, but get your firm and your employees used to storing their password securely. And then, as you heard me mention earlier, encouraging employees not to reuse work passwords on personal accounts. Sometimes you can't prevent this because you don't know what they're doing, but this should be part of your employee handbook and part of your security awareness training is keep your passwords separate from each other so that when they make the mistake and have their PayPal account compromised, your firm isn't compromised. And the final note I have here is test your help desk to ensure that they're not violating your password reset policy. One of the things that we've seen is that, especially working with law firms, realty, that sort of thing, is the late night caller, the managing partner saying, I've got to get this brief in right now. My password's not working. Give it to me now. Usually they're really blunt. They're really angry. And you've got a junior help desk guy that's working after hours that's intimidated, goes, okay, I'll give you that password. Your firm needs to have a policy that only certain people are allowed to authorize password resets, and you have to have a mechanism for validating that that person is who they say they are. Now, once again, going back to our AuthPoint solution, something we can do on that that's pretty amazing is if that managing partner calls in and says, I need my password changed right now, and we're not sure they are who they say they are, we can actually reach out through AuthPoint to their phone and say, I believe I'm talking with so-and-so, please click yes to confirm. And if we don't get that positive response back, then we know that it's a bad actor. Also, the person, if they get it and they're not talking with us, will click no, and we know there's a bad actor. So we have this great method of actually validating 24/7 that we are talking to staff without calling our primary contact at 2 in the morning and waking them up. So there's some great solutions out there for those of you that are simply relying on a username and a password right now. It's time to change, and we can help you do that. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay. This is Jeff with Element, and I just want to cover a couple of quick tips and tricks with NetDocuments. Some you may already know, and some you may not. Some are new. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to talk about is homepage customization. So on your homepage in NetDocuments, by default, you have a favorite items and a favorite workspaces section. But well, the favorite workspaces section can only hold a certain number of workspaces, and the favorite items, having everything jumbled together may not be useful to you. So you can create your own custom sections on your homepage. There used to be a customized layout button at the top right of the web interface that allowed you to do this on your homepage. They've moved that recently to be under the home drop-down menu. So at the top left, there's a home drop-down menu, and you click on Customize Layout. And then in the top right of the window that opens, there's a link to create a personal section. You give that personal section a name, whatever makes sense for what you want to put in that section. Click OK, and drag that section into the column and location that you want it to be displayed on your home page. All of the sections on your home page can be dragged and dropped, amongst multiple columns, up to 3, and in any order you want them to be in. So once you've done that, you end up with a home page section of your own. Now, what might you use that for? Well, maybe you create a section for each active matter you're working on, and you put the matter workspace there, important documents for that matter in that section, and maybe things you're actively working on, documents you're actively working on in that section. Or maybe you create a documents to review section and use that to contain documents that you actively need to go back to review them, to edit them, quickly favorite them, and then when you're done, just unfavorite them and they're gone from that section. I've seen some firms where users will create a template document section. Maybe they're documents that those users are continually going back to generate new documents. And so having those all together in one section to quickly get to them is easy and quick. Or I've also seen, for example, at some firms, paralegal or a legal admin assistant, they'll create a section for each attorney that they work with, and then they will use that to put the matters that they're working with for each attorney, each active matter in that section, so they know which matters belong to which attorney and they can quickly go there. Putting things on your home page, yeah, you could go to your recent documents, you could go to your recent matters, but if it's on your home page, they're right there as soon as you log in, and it's a single click to open the favorite document or a single click to go to a favorite matter. And keeping those separated into sections that make sense, that keep particular types of things together that work for you as an individual. How do you work? Each individual has their own home page. So the key there is the home page and favorites make things more efficient for you than having to drill in deep into the interface to find what you're looking for or do a search to find what you're looking for. Now, I do want to call out, currently, you can right-click on the star by a document and send a favorite or a suggestion for a favorite to another user. That user receives an email with a link, and then they can click that link to add that favorite to their own homepage. However, what is coming at some point, it sounds like early next year, is the ability to set up favorites and a home page for another user. So essentially, you delegate the right or the ability to configure your home page to another user. For example, an attorney has their LAA set up their home page for them. Just a way to make that more efficient. And I constantly hear from clients, well, we want to be able to add, the same things to each individual's homepage or to certain individuals' homepage. Maybe there's some particular practice group and, somebody controls some favorites, the documents or sections or folders that they always go to. Delegate that ability to someone else. So that is something that is coming soon, and I hear that request from a lot of firms that I work with on a regular basis. So moving on, kind of circling back to something that Caden already mentioned, is the new ability with the current or latest update to ND Mail to the client software for Windows, where you can pin predictions so that they appear at the top of your prediction list, regardless of any other predictions that might pop up for a particular email. You can do that by clicking that orange thumbtack, or when it's not clicked, it's a gray thumbtack. You click it, it turns orange, and it becomes a favorite to the right of each prediction that you want to pin. And so then, those are always there for you no matter what other predictions are there. Maybe, you have particular active matters that you're working on, or maybe you aren't, maybe you're working not as an attorney, maybe you're an admin staff person, and you have maybe an HR folder somewhere, or some other particular folder that you're always filing emails to. Well, pin that open. The other piece is that at the top right of that prediction pane, there is another orange thumbtack button. And that other orange thumbtack button allows you to turn off or hide those pinned predictions if you want. You click it to hide them, and then you click it again to show those predictions again that you have pinned. So maybe sometimes you don't want to see those, and others you do. So you can turn those on and off really quickly and not have to unpin each of them and then repin them later. You just turn them all off as a group or turn them all back on as a group. So that's just a couple of really quick tips, tricks, things to hopefully make you more efficient. And with that said, I think we are ready for our Q&A session.
Wonderful. I do have some questions that came in. So the first one is NetDocuments indicated they were working on Gmail add-ons. Just wondering about that portion of. Maybe if we could have everybody join on screen now, then we can go through some of these questions. Awesome. So we can respond to this question more specifically too, because it's a pretty specific question just around Gmail and how we work with Gmail.
And I can absolutely talk about that, right? So at Elevate, our NetDocuments conference, we did announce that the Gmail is coming to Organize on the roadmap. So it's going to be for Gmail on the web, and you'll be able to save emails predictively, just like you can from Outlook using Gmail, and that is coming later this year.
Awesome, thanks, Kyle. What version of ND Mail do you show?
That was 1.9.
Yep.
Okay. They were just asking about the pinning folders. So it sounds like maybe they need to update theirs. Is Organize?
Sorry about that. What we typically recommend so far as ND Mail and the other client applications for NetDocuments as well, to make sure that you're staying up to date, is one that you're deploying those centrally if you can, rather than having each user be responsible for updating their own. That way everybody's on the same version. And then also subscribe to the announcements on the NetDocuments support page to always see when those new versions are released. So
awesome, great tips, thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Another question from the same individual is Organize a new or separate product? And I think this might be something we can go back and talk a little bit more about how things are functioning now in that area. So I'm not sure who wants to take this as far as solutions go.
Caden's on mute.
Oh, is he talking?
Yeah, here he goes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, wow. Dang it, Craig, now I have the title of the mute king. So Organize is the compilation of existing products that we had, ND Mail, OCR, and of course our base NetDocuments. We'll continue to add things to that package. And so if you've already got ND Mail, you've already got OCR, and of course you have NetDocuments, then you essentially have Organize. If you don't have either of those two sort of initial add-ons, ND Mail or OCR, you need those to get to Organize.
Awesome. Is subversioning ready now?
Yes.
Looks like a lot of nods. Awesome.
It's a cabinet setting, so it gets turned on in the cabinet administration page.
Okay, perfect. So maybe talk to your administrator.
Exactly.
somebody is asking if you can go through more detail on the embedded folders.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll let Cal take that one.
I'll
Since
talk
you
about
created
that.
it. Thanks.
So we have released with the update that's coming tonight what we're calling folder packs. And in the workspace template section of your administrative console, you'll be able to build out folder packs. They're able to be added to workspace templates as well. So you can have different folder packs for your litigators versus your transactional teams, and you can build out complex subfolder structures and as Cody mentioned, subfolder structures. So when you create that workspace or refresh a workspace that is built on that template, you will be able to add those folder packs automatically. And so instead of having to go in and build out complex folder structures ad hoc, we'll be able to set those up when workspaces are created or refreshed with folder packs. There is an announcement that is on the support site tonight, and then you will be able to see that in the administrative console with the release that's coming tonight or tomorrow.
And Kyle,
just
on that note, yeah, I was just
go
going
ahead,
to
Jeff.
sorry, Cody, I was just going to ask on that note, because there was some questions around the organized bundle and so folder packs that's coming to organize specifically, but it's also the core product. Is that correct? So every
Correct.
NetDocuments customer will get that. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And then just to set expectations, Kyle, I think I remember a couple of releases of folder packs where new workspaces can do subfoldering right away, but refreshing might be a release in a few months. Is that right?
So they're doing 3 releases. One is new workspaces or refreshed workspaces get folder packs. The next is administrators can add them ad hoc, right? So an existing workspace, you don't need to refresh it to add folder packs. And then the third is user-driven folder packs. So the ability for a user to say, here's my pre-approved complex folder structure. I want to add this on my own. And those are 3 phases. The first phase, which is administratively deployed to, as you mentioned, Cody, new workspaces or a workspace that gets refreshed or deleted and then rebuilt is coming this week.
And then, as I understand it, a future release also will allow the ability to set security on those different folders in the folder pack. Is that correct?
Correct. That is coming in a future release, the ability to set profiles and securities based upon the folders and subfolders.
Okay, so that goes along with this question, which is, can you hide the document type filters when implementing folder packs? Or will both continue to be on the Matter dashboard?
In workspace templates, you have the ability to choose filters or folders. So that is a firm by firm basis. In Cody's case, he built out a Matter that had both, right? Because there's a lot of benefits for using filters, but also he had a very niche case, right? Where he needed to be able to separate and aggregate content in a complex folder structure. So we showed that you could do both, but it is up to the firm and there is individual preference that's there. So you can choose either way.
Perfect. And then a couple questions along the lines of the wheel and the various features. So Caden, I know you addressed some of that, but the question here is, how do you know what is included in their package or their subscription for NetDocuments at this point in time, and so that they know like what they need to add on, what various products or solutions they don't have yet, and what's included in each one of those different solutions?
Yeah, it's probably best to let Ryan take this. Ryan, tell me if you would answer any differently. Reach out to, if you don't know who your account manager is, let us know here in the chat. We'll be sure that someone reaches out. Every firm should have, or they do have, an individual account manager. In a quick email or a quick account review, they can let you know where you stand currently and what else is available for you.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is I know our billing is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As far as on the invoice, it will tell you, it will break things out by line item. That's one way that you can do it. But yes, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on my team. There's Chandler, Nikki, TJ, Tyler Brown. Any of us can quickly find that and get that to you.
Ryan, on the billing note, I think this has come up before as well with firms. You guys are really good about sort of just periodically looking at a client's storage, right? And seeing kind of what they're subscribed to and then kind of where they're at. but maybe just touch on, if firms are interested in maybe, getting the other components of Organize, what does that look like from a storage, add-on perspective? I mean, are they able to get more storage, kind of with that, so they don't have to look at any sort of overage that they might be getting charged currently, that type of thing?
Yeah, that's something we can definitely look at. Anytime we're looking at adding on products, we want to look at the storage situation, and I mean, there is a flat storage cost, and so we try to figure out the best way, whatever works best for the customer as far as how much storage we can get them. Obviously, the more products or the more things that we're going to bundle together, the more storage we can add. But really, it's kind of a case-by-case basis, and depending on how much storage they have, how much they need, and what products they're going to add is how much we can get them.
Another place that you guys could take a look at is if you go to the NetDocuments website, there's now a drop down for products that are broken up by solution set as well. So you could see, what's included in Deliver, what's included in Plan, and each one of those has a little bit of an outline of each, so that you don't have to always talk right to us, but you can get a little preliminary information there.
And then there are brief videos, right? So as we showed, we talked about ChatLink, but didn't show it. There's about a 2-minute video of the ChatLink integration with Teams. There's a quick overview of our tasking tool. So as you click onto the NetDocuments website, there's also brief overviews of those components, the technologies that make up those solutions from there as well.
Awesome. Well, without me even asking you, answered the next question too. So I'm going to move on to this question here that's about asking, is there a solution in place to take care of drag and drop for uploading documents into the workspace?
So I guess maybe you can get me in touch with them and we can answer that question offline, because there is an ability to drag and drop documents into a workspace, but I'd like to understand how they're doing it, specifically to address that. Right now, certainly, from the workspace, if you click into a filter or a folder, you can drag and drop from an outside location one document or multiple documents into that container, but you can't do it from the workspace. You do need to be inside of a container, whether it's a folder, a filter, or a subfolder.
I do want to add quick there. We have found and worked with NetDocuments support to confirm there is currently a bug with some of that drag and drop functionality that I know that they're working on resolving. I don't know an exact ETA on that resolution, but hopefully it'll come with the update tonight. So just in case people are currently, within the past couple of weeks having a lot of issue with that. So.
Awesome. And then there's a question around collab spaces and any sort of limits, I think, on size, it looks like, is the question here. I don't believe there are, but you can better answer that. Just says, are there limits to collab space?
So, and I think that question comes because somebody is familiar with shared spaces where, hey, you know what, if you put more than like 25 documents in there, things got a little bit unpredictable. There is not a limit in collab spaces, and you can place documents. If the file is able to be uploaded into NetDocuments, it can be added in a collab space. You can have an unlimited number of users and an unlimited number of documents inside of that collab space.
Perfect.
While we're on
collab. Sorry, the other nice thing about collab spaces too is that you can have folders in them, which you can't do in share spaces, and so it allows for a lot better organization of those documents in those collab spaces.
And the ability to access collab spaces, as Cody and Caden showed the ND Office, ND Mail, and mobile experience, collab spaces permeate into there as well. So inside of ND Mail, I can access and save an email or an attachment right into a collab space. I can open a Word document from a collab space. I can check and see, did that client put that item into that collab space for my iPad or iPhone, which you could not do with shared spaces. You'd have to go to the NetDocuments web interface to do that. So there's some enhanced functionality from a usability standpoint there as well, which I really enjoy.
You just touched on that a little bit, Kyle, but I was going to kind of mention, I think this is an important point, and this maybe connects kind of you and Craig together in that, when we talk about like clients in general, when they've historically kind of shared files, they've relied on maybe third-party solutions like Citrix ShareFile and these types of things, right? When they can actually just do it with NetDocuments and with collab spaces. And one of the challenges, I guess, that I see in using these third-party products is you're basically taking a document, you're pulling it outside of NetDocuments, and you're losing a lot of the visibility around security and information governance, really. Maybe just touch on that, because I think it's a really important point to make.
And that's the point that you made, right? And I touched on it briefly when I was talking, hey, this collab space exists inside of NetDocuments, but you don't have to worry. There's not a separate application to secure, to govern, to make sure that access is set appropriately. Because the collab space is part of the NetDocuments workspace, your security is already there, right? Your authentication is already there. Your user access rights, the governance that you've built into NetDocuments, those ethical walls are there. And you don't have a second copy of that file floating around who knows where, right? It is right inside of your NetDocuments workspace. It is inside of that collab space, and it's visible to that outside party that you need to give access to. So you can have just-in-time collaboration occur right from that single source of truth that is the NetDocuments workspace. Craig, do you have any thoughts? I know that there's a lot of security and governance questions that come into sharing content externally. Any thoughts on how collab spaces can kind of streamline and make that?
Yeah, one of the aspects that really covers any area of security is not so much even the prevention of preventing events from happening, but the auditing. And when you keep the document within the NetDocument space, you have that audit trail where you know where the changes occurred, who viewed it, that the document is still valid. Once it's in the wild, whether it's through share file or through email or any of that, you no longer have that source document where we can go and say, we know who viewed it, who modified it, and what happened to it. And at Element, we deal with a number of clients that call us out of the blue in the remediation phases of wire fraud transfers that started from phishing attacks where completely legitimate documents were stolen out of somebody's account and modified, sent to a client. Everything looked exactly right, except for maybe that wire transfer information, that email account. And with a solution like this, we know, especially if we train our clients, this is the only place that our firm will share documents with you is in this collab space. We've eliminated that threat, and that is really huge.
I think to add to this, Kyle, you could probably add a little more commentary anyway, but multi-factor authentication historically has been all on the firm, but when you go send stuff through a collab space, it's all on the end user. And we just released multi-factor authentication for external members so that you can give your clients that level of security without them having to be part of your internal firm domain.
That's absolutely correct. So collab spaces now come with the ability to enable two-factor authentication, right? So if somebody's using their PayPal password as an external user within NetDocuments, well, now they have to authenticate using, a Google Authenticator, a Microsoft Authenticator to verify, hey, I've signed in with my face, I've scanned it, and I've authenticated with my phone, like Craig mentioned. So that level of protection and security is not just available internally, it's available to those external participants within the collab space as well.
Awesome. It looks like we've answered all the questions. There's a couple that are a little bit more specific to individuals, so we'll get back to you individually on those things. And then a couple people did reach out. So Ryan, those will come your way to put them in touch with their account manager. So we'll get those over to you as well. But at this point, I'd just like to thank all of you. Thank Element for doing this with us and everybody else on the NetDocuments team. So
thank you, Bridget. Appreciate you putting this together. You're always behind the scenes, you and Tiffany, and kind of making these things happen. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.